Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. These are the words of Paul to the church in Colossae, and they are certainly the words to us today. And Paul is commanding us to be forgiving people on the basis that we serve a forgiving God, that he will forgive anyone who seeks forgiveness for anything. And if you are a person who has received forgiveness from God, then you owe it to God to forgive those who offend you. And yesterday we talked a little bit about the fact that forgiveness means to identify or determine what is owed to you by the person who offends you. They hurt you, they wounded you, they embarrassed you, and they owe you something, and you determine what that is. And then you say, I'm canceling that debt. You might owe me an apology, but I'm canceling the debt. You don't even have to apologize. I forgive you. It's hard to do, and I think one of the reasons canceling a debt is hard to do, besides the obvious that we just kind of like to have things over people sometimes, and that's not our place. But for me, I think one of the hardest things about forgiveness and canceling the debt of people who offend me is this whole concept, and I don't know where it came from, I don't know where it started. It's certainly not biblical, but we mistake it for a biblical concept where we say, forgive and forget, and that if you haven't forgotten, you haven't forgiven. And there's a lot of people that believe this, and I think it's kind of one of those things that it's so impossible to do that we don't even try, and so we get forgiveness wrong because we can't get the forgetting right. Forgive and forget. It's not a biblical concept. We are instructed nowhere in Scripture to forgive and forget. God does not forgive and forget. He forgives, but he is God. He cannot forget. And the truth is, you really can't either, especially if you are offended deeply, if you are wounded deeply. It is difficult. In fact, if you concentrate on forgetting a thing, you will just remember the thing all the more. And so it is impossible to intentionally forget something. And you might forget something over time just because you haven't thought about it, but to intentionally try to forget something is impossible. And so sometimes when we think we just can't do it, we won't even try. And so when we couple forgetting with forgiving, we know it's impossible, and so we don't even bother. So let's eliminate that from our vocabulary. And I think that'll help us forgive. When we eliminate the whole concept, the faulty concept of forgiving and forgetting, we just eliminate that first part, or the last part, forgetting, we can get the first part right, forgiving. A better way to think about it is forgive and then refuse to bring it back up. Cancel the debt and then refuse to try to make them pay it back again. Forgive and just move on with life. Sometimes forgetting a life lesson, a wound, a pain, sometimes forgetting could be damaging to you. You need to learn those life lessons. That's how wisdom is gained, through our experiences. And so forgetting something or someone who wounds you or offends you might not even be possible, so don't make it part of your forgiving. But do make letting go part of your forgiving. Do make a refusal once you have canceled the debt. Just refuse to try to collect on it ever again. That's what it means to forgive, and that's how God forgives you. He forgave your debt, he cancels your debt, and he refuses to make you try to pay it again, because you are forgiven. May we be forgiving people, canceling the debts of those who offend us. Bye.